Dear students, hope you all will be fine. Today I am here with the last lecture from the chapter Respiration of the course Plant Physiology 1. In my previous lecture, I started discussing about the other pathways which are involved in the metabolism of the sugars other than the respiration. So I discussed one in my previous and the rest of the two, that is glyoxylate pathway and cyanide resistant respiration. I discussed these two in my today's lecture. I am Dr. Smina Mahmood, Assistant Professor Botany in the University of Education. Our today's objectives are to understand about the glyoxylate pathway and its importance, what is cyanide resistant respiration, and what are the physiological significances of the cyanide resistant respiration. So let's start glyoxylate pathway. As I told you, other metabolic pathways are also activated or could be activated side by side with the main process of respiration when high energy is required in the body, or they can operate in the absence of respiration or when a very little energy is required in the body. So glyoxylate pathway is a variation of a tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA cycle or Krebs cycle, as I explained you in TCA or Krebs cycle lecture when I discussed the aerobic respiration. It is an anabolic pathway occurring in plants, bacteria, protists, and fungi. Lipids conversion to the sucrose or its metabolism and it get metabolized into sucrose. The conversion of lipids to sucrose in oil seed is triggered by germination and begins with the hydrolysis of triacyl glycerol stored in the oil bodies to free fatty acids, followed by the oxidation of the fatty acids to produce acetyl CoA. The fatty acids are oxidized in a type of peroxisome called as glyoxisome. In this pathway, it is especially here focus is on the glyoxisome, which is a type of peroxisome. An organelle which is enclosed by a single bilayer membrane that is found in the oil rich storage tissues of the acetyl-CoA is metabolized in a glyoxysome to produce succinate, and you are familiar now with the succinate, which is the involved in the cycle of Krebs cycle in the process of respiration. So here you can see the other utilization of the succinate if succinate is present. So it could be utilized at the place other than the TCA cycle. And this is the best example, which is succinate, which is transported from the glyoxysome to the mitochondria, where it is converted first to the oxaloacetate and then to malate as in the TCA cycle. The process ends in the cytosol with the conversion of malate to glucose via gluconeogenesis and then to sucrose. And at this step, it is a modified form as compared to the TCA cycle, because you see over there after malate there is the other oxidative fate of malate in the TCA cycle as compared to this cycle. Although some of these fatty acids are derived, carbon is diverted to other metabolic reactions in certain oil seeds as well. The cycle is generally assumed to be absent in the animals, with the exception of the nematodes at the early stage of embryogenesis only. In recent years, however, the detection of malate synthase and isocitrate lyase, which is abbreviated as MS and ICL, respectively, key enzymes involved in the glyoxylate cycle. Plants and bacteria employ a modification of the TCA cycle called the glyoxylate cycle to produce 4-carbon dicarboxylic acid from 2-carbon acetate units. The glyoxylate cycle bypass the two oxidative decarboxylations of TCA cycle and directly convert isocitrate through isocitrate lyase and malate synthase into malate and succinate. In microorganisms, the glyoxylate cycle allows cells to utilize two carbon compounds such as acetate to satisfy cellular carbon requirements when simple sugars such as glucose or fructose are not available in the cell. Fatty acids from lipids are commonly used as an energy source by vertebrates as fatty acids are degraded through beta oxidation into acetate molecule. This acetate bound to the active thiol group of coenzyme A enters the citric acid cycle or TCA cycle, which is the other name abbreviation of this term, where it is fully oxidized to carbon dioxide. This pathway thus allows cells to obtain energy from fat, to utilize acetate from fat for the biosynthesis of carbohydrates. The glyoxylate cycle, whose initial reactions are identical to the TCA cycle, is used. So, from the detail, we know at many steps or the use of the intermediates, it is similar to the TCA cycle. However, there are some other or extra or modified steps are involved in this metabolism. That's why it is called the modification of TCA cycle, which is only a part of the respiration. However, glyoxylate cycle operate as a full-fledged process in the cycle. In this example here, you can see the fatty acids, which fatty acid coenzyme synthase converted into acetyl CoA, and here the beta oxidation occur, and this could be by the utilization of NAD or FAD molecules, which reduce to in their respective forms can get converted back into acetyl CoA, or it could be entered into the other pathways, just like here you can see. Here acetyl CoA with the evolution of CoA enzyme can get converted directly at this stage at the it can get entered into the glyoxylate cycle. From here, glyoxylate in the presence of malate synthase get converted into the malate, and then malate in the next step by the use of malate dehydrogenase enzyme, and NAD get reduced into the NADH converted into the oxaloacetate, and this oxaloacetate in the presence of citrate synthase get converted into the citrate, and citrate into isocitrate, and isocitrate can get converted into succinate or back get converted into oxaloacetate. Citrate can also enter into the another step by the use of citrate in the presence of aconitase. It could be converted into isocitrate, but here you can see aconitase is used in TCA cycle. So if citrate from here adopt this passage, then it will enter into the TCA cycle or Krebs cycle, because isocitrate again by the use of same enzyme will be converted into succinate, and this succinate will convert into fumarate and malate, which will occur in the mitochondrial matrix only. So at this stage it can adopt the two passages, that it can be utilized into glyoxylate pathway, or it can get entered into TCA cycle via this route. And here malate in the presence of this get converted into oxaloacetate, and here phosphoenol pyruvate, and here you can see all of these processes occur in the cytosol. This is in the mitochondria, and this is glyoxysome, a specialized organelle which is specially linked with the glyoxylate cycle. So here you can see the difference and the modification between these two cycles, and at which stage they get differentiated from each other, and what extra steps are involved in glyoxylate pathway. And you can also see as and because I told you aerobic respiration is the chief source of energy, so mainly it is operated in the body. So and due to some factors, if it is inhibited in the meanwhile to fulfill the energy requirement, a glyoxylate cycle can operate in the cycle. But as and when the requirement or the condition to of the aerobic respirations are fulfilled and the system get initiated in the body, then intermediates of glyoxylate cycle are present, which could be utilized in the TCA cycle. So quickly cycles can get converted from glyoxylate cycle to TCA cycle in the process of now the next one and the last metabolic pathway which is involved other than the aerobic and anaerobic respiration in the body is called cyanide resistant respiration. And this is the last topic of our today's discussion from this chapter of respiration as well. The flow of electrons in the usual mitochondrial electron transport chain in both animals and plants during aerobic respiration is blocked by the presence of cyanide, which inhibits the activity of cytochrome oxidase. As I told you, while electron transport chain, the action of cytochrome, which is very important to take the electrons from the complex 3, which is the docking station in case of electron transport chain, and from there electrons are transferred to the complex 4 and complex 5, and in response of that a proton gradient is established in the mitochondria. So this type of respiration is therefore known as cyanide sensitive respiration, because the presence of cyanide inhibits the electron transport chain which is involved in the process of respiration. Plant mitochondria, however, differs from the animal mitochondria in having an alternate oxidase system pathway through which terminal oxidation of reduced coenzyme continues even in the presence of cyanides. This type of respiration is known as cyanide resistant or cyanide insensitive respiration. In cyanide resistant respiration, the flow of electrons from reduced coenzymes to ubiquinone in the Q cycle is the same as in usual mitochondrial electron transport chain. And I explained you the Q cycle in detail when I discussed the electron transport chain in the process of aerobic respiration, in which ubiquinone is present in 3 conditions, in which it contains 2 electrons, in second condition it contains 1 electron, and in the third condition it contains no electron. And this transition of the molecule from retention of higher electron level to the retention of no electron, this transition of stages is actually the responsible of the transfer of electron from donor to the acceptor in the electron transport chain. But after this point, branch point, which is called branch point, the electron passes from ubiquinone to a flavoprotein, and from there to a cyanide resistant or alternate oxidase, and finally to it is converted into oxygen, which is evolved. Usually, the reduction of oxygen should result in the formation of water molecule, but present evidences indicate that possibility of hydrogen peroxide, that is formulated as H2O2, being formed instead of water molecule. This superoxide production can easily be converted into water aided oxygen then by enzyme catalase. The exact nature of alternate terminal oxidase X is not clearly understood. However, it is probably an iron containing protein which is neither a hemoprotein nor an iron sulfur protein. it may have in between structure or maybe different. There is much investigation required at this level, because still it is not in the light which molecule is actually used. The activity of alternate oxidase is inhibited by MCLAM, which may be called as CLAM, or separately could be pronounced as CLAM proteins, which is M chloro benzyl hydroxy hydroxymic acid. P over O ratio, that is number of ADP's molecules converted into ATP molecules per oxygen atoms utilized for this conversion, and this is called PO ratio in cyanide resistant respiration is 1. As in conventional electron transport chain, the first phosphorylation site is coupled with electron transport chain in cyanide resistant respiration. Here you can see at the succinate at the complex 2, and when I explained you the complex 2 in the electron transport chain, I told you iron sulfur complexes are present, as different subunit of the molecules are present, and different enzymes are involved, which are used in the catalyzation of the process. So this enzyme succinate molecule, in the presence of succinate dehydrogenase enzyme, get converted into ubiquinone, which enter into the Q cycle. And Q cycle, I explained you, this is the conversion or transition of the one type of state to the other type of state. And here this is the internal NADH level and complex 1, and its a bit structure. More detail of the structure I explain you into the electron transport chain, but here I restricted myself only to the cyanide resistant pathway, which is this one. So we can see how the cycle from different passages modified and diverted towards this pathway. So complex 1, complex 2, in both situation Q cycle is involved, and in this situation, from here this protein PFMA is involved. In the presence of X factor, it is converted into oxygen, and enzyme alternate oxidase is utilized. And also the other way, external NADH concentration in the presence of external dehydrogenase enzyme can get converted into FP protein, which can get entered into the Q cycle, and Q cycle can get converted to this direction. So either from it is the modification from the electron transport chain, or either it can directly enter through Q cycle to the cyanide resistance. So, what is the physiological significance of cyanide resistant respiration? Cyanide resistant respiration is believed to be responsible for the climacteric in fruits, that is remarkable increase in respiration during and just before ripening. The climacteric is induced by ethylene, and the later may act to implement the cyanide resistant respiration in ripening fruits. That is the production of hydrogen peroxide and superoxide increase the oxidation and breakdown of the membrane, which are necessary activities in the ripening process. Cyanide resistant respiration is known to generate heat in the thermogenic tissues. Thermogenicity is observed in the flowers or inflorescence of some plants, such as water lily, arum lilies, and others, etc. As you can see here, the excessive heat production in the inflorescence of the plants is used to volatilize the odoriferous compounds, which produce the odor or smell in the inflorescence, which makes the inflorescence or flower attractive for the insects or the pollinators. As you can see, such as amines and indoles, which are the examples which produce odor or smell, which are produced in them and which serves to attract the pollinating insects. The amount of heat produced in thermogenic tissues may be as high as 51 degrees C with an ATM temperature of 15 degrees C. In this temperature can vary in different based on different types of plants and on their inflorescence and the season in which they are growing. In cyanide resistant respiration, most of the energy liberated in the oxidation of respiratory substrate is lost as heat, and only little of it is consumed in the production of ATP. For instance, the PO ratio for one NADH molecule is only 1 in cyanide resistant respiration, while in cyanide sensitive or usual respiration it is 3. If ATP generated in usual respiration in mitochondria are not sufficiently drained off, they may inhibit the Krebs cycle or TCA cycle via the stoppage of electron flow in electron transport chain. Therefore, cyanide resistant respiration may provide continued oxidation of NADH and operation of TCA cycle through the energy demand is lesser. The operation of TCA cycle is important because TCA cycle intermediates are the precursor for cellular. In both processes of respiration, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, in both processes some amount of energy is released. However, anaerobic respiration mostly occur during fermentation, and it is occur mostly the type of respiration in some bacteria and microorganisms. So, in higher organisms, in plants, animals, and humans, aerobic respiration is considered as the chief source of energy in the body. And the energy which is released in the aerobic respiration is actually comes from the oxidation of the hydrogen to water in the presence of NADH and FADH molecules, which pass through the electron transport chain, which is abbreviated as ETC. The greater the number of hydrogen atoms in the structure of the substrate molecule, the greater will be the energy value for that particular respiratory substrate. As I told you, that lipid utilize less, but they produce more energy as compared to the carbohydrates. And when we see the formula, molecular formula, lipids have more hydrogen atoms in their structure as compared to the carbohydrates. That's why lipids have a great energy value per unit mass, which is utilized during the process of respiration as compared to the carbohydrates and proteins. And proteins are only considered during starvation. Otherwise these are not usually get metabolized in the process of respiration. As all the metabolic processes occur inside the living organism, so it is hard to elaborate into the living system. So, in vitro studies are conducted to estimate or measure the energy value for each respiratory substrate separately. And the instrument which is mostly used in vitro studies, that is called calorimeter. And the energy value of a specific substrate is determined by burning that particular substrate in a known quantity, known mass of the substrate in the presence of oxygen in the instrument calorimeter. And energy released by oxidizing this substrate can be determined from the rise in the temperature of the known mass of water. That is, the heat capacity of the water is actually the indicator into the calorimeter that gives the energy value for that particular respiratory substrate. So here again, just like a natural system, oxygen is required for oxidation, and here as it is the in vitro experiment, so known mass of the substrate is used in the presence of known mass of water. So when we know the quantity of water that is utilized and the quantity of substrate, and in that response or burning of the substrate, how much temperature of the water get rise, that is technically categorized under the heat capacity of water. In the calorimeter, it is called, the final product is called the energy value for that particular respiratory. This is the structure of a calorimeter, and here you can see this is a closed circuit or a jar. Here you can see, and in this the basic component inside a big jar or compartment, a small compartment or box is used, in which known quantified amount of the sample is put into some bowl and put into this small box, and known quantity of or pressure of the oxygen is provided in this box, and it is airtight over here. And two rods are here combined for the burning or ignition of this sample, and here this is the external source to provide the charge to start the ignition or burning of this sample. So, and outside the sample, as I told you, the heat capacity of the water is the main indicator that how much energy is produced in that specific reaction, controlled reaction actually. So, outside this small box, a known quantity of water is added into this calorimeter, and this stirrer is actually used, which continuously stir in the water just to homogenize the sample or heat which is exported to the water from the burning of the sample, that get homogenized or equally distribute in the water molecule above and below. And thermometer is put into this water to take the reading of the rise in the temperature. So in this way, a calorimeter is used to calculate the energy value of different respiratory substrates. These are the energy values of different substrates, which are expressed in kilocalories per gram or kilojoules per gram. Here you can see fats produce 9 kilocalories per gram and 37 kilojoules per gram. Ethanol 7, proteins 4, carbohydrates 4, organic acids and sugar alcohols 3 and 2.4. So from here we can see the fats are at the top to produce more amount of energy in terms of kilocalories, and 37 in terms of kilojoules per gram of the substrate utilized in the process of respiration. Calorimeter is used to calculate the energy which is a specific respiratory substrate produced during the process of respiration. However, it is also important meanwhile to calculate actually the actual amount of the substrate which is utilized or burned in the process of respiration, and this calculation is done by the use of equation which is called respiratory quotient, which is represented by RQ value. And RQ value is actually the volume of the carbon dioxide which is released into the environment divided by the volume of the oxygen which is used in the process of respiration. Because as we know at this stage that in the process of respiration, the respiratory substrate get oxidized in the presence of oxygen, and in this process of oxidation, by the use of some amount of energy, carbon dioxide and water are released into the environment. So the amount of carbon dioxide released in the case of burning of specific substrate, and to burn that substrate, how much volume of oxygen is used, and when we divide this volume of carbon dioxide to the volume of oxygen, we get the ratio of RQ. And in case of aerobic and anaerobic respiration, this RQ value differ greatly. In aerobic respiration, substrates shows that the number of molecules and hence the volumes of the oxygen used and carbon dioxide released are entirely different as compared to the anaerobic. uh, because for to fulfill the requirement of the equation, carbon dioxide volume and oxygen volume both are required, and we know basically anaerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. So this equation is completely have the values in case of aerobic respiration, while in case of anaerobic respiration volume of oxygen is absent. So the respiratory quotient in case of anaerobic respiration is infinite because no oxygen is available in this case. These are the RQ values of the carbohydrates, that is glucose. Here the example of glucose is given, in which in the presence of 6 oxygen molecules, carbohydrates they get oxidized into carbon dioxide, water, and with the release of energy. Here we see 6 molecules of oxygen are used to liberate 6 molecules of oxygen. So according to the equation, how much volume of oxygen is used is divided into the volume of carbon dioxide produced divided by the volume of the oxygen utilized. So here 6 oxygen produce 6 carbon dioxide, so 6 divided by 6 is equal to 1. So RQ value in case of carbohydrates is 1. This shows 100% of the carbohydrates are consumed in the process of respiration to produce ATPs, and due to this factor that carbohydrates get metabolized 100%, that's why these are the preferred source of energy in the body, because they are not get deposited, their complete combustion occur into the living system. This is the RQ value for fats, and here we can see that the fat molecules in the presence of 23 oxygen molecules is oxidized, and it produces 16 molecules of carbon dioxide and 16 molecules of water and energy. Here mostly I focus only on the amount of oxygen used and amount of carbon dioxide liberated, because I want to calculate the RQ value for each respiratory substrate, which is also calculated by the use of calorimeter, as I told you the its structure in the previous slide. So RQ value is 16 carbon dioxide divided by 23 oxygen. It is equal to zero point 0.7. So it represents the incomplete combustion of the fats in the body. So that's why carbohydrates are preferred over fats. However, the amount of energy is produced by the fat is more as compared to the carbohydrates, but carbohydrates completely get breakdown while fats undergo incomplete combustion as compared to the carbohydrates. This is the RQ value of the protein, in which a protein molecule in the presence of 77 oxygen molecules get converted into the 63 carbon dioxide and 38 water molecules with the release of energy. So 63 carbon dioxide divided by 77 oxygen molecule is equal to zero point 0.9. So it results in reduced carbon dioxide production for every oxygen molecule consumed in the body. This is the comparison of the RQ values of all three discussed respiratory substrates, as well as the RQ values versus aerobic versus anaerobic respiration. So here, as I calculate in the previous slide, glucose RQ value is 1, lipid is 0.7, and protein is zero point 0.9. So, and in anaerobic respiration, as I told you, this is the process that occur in the absence of oxygen. So here on this side, no oxygen is available during fermentation, and the carbon dioxide produced. So equation is not complete. Here the volume of oxygen is 0. So the production of energy is infinite in this situation. And this mostly anaerobic respiration occurs in alcoholic fermentations of the glucose that mostly occur in bacteria and other microorganisms. High value of RQ indicates aerobic respiration is occurring. No RQ can be calculated for the cells using lactate pathway since no carbon dioxide is produced. Glucose get converted in the absence of oxygen into two lactic acids and energy. So now I'm sure you will be able to understand how the plants get the chief source of energy in which process, and that is the respiration. And if the chief process is get disturbed or slow down, and then in that situation, which pathway plants can utilize to get their energy requirements to be fulfilled. So I consult these books. You can also follow these books if you are interested in more detail. Thank you very much.